1 second. All right, so everything seems to be working fine. Some people are still trying to join, so let me admit them as well. And of course, I would say stay muted so we could have a peaceful classroom where we can really stay focused. I can see Vandana. Please mute yourself so we could not get any extra noise. All right, so welcome to session 3. This is day 3, and before I really get into today's session, I would love to know how your experience is up until now. We have designed every single day in a very systematic way so we could cover all the important elements of English communication skills. So I would love to know, how do you find it? Is it useful? Is it helping you? Is it just giving you what you're supposed to get on your English journey? Or you want to have some kind of additional stuff which could help you even more? So please do let me know in the chat, how is your experience up until this point? All right, because to be honest, this is like the fuel to me. If you just give your responses, at least I will get this feeling that this is somewhat helping you, or do I need to make some kind of changes? So please do not unmute yourself right now. I cannot hear. All you need to do, just put in the chat, how is your experience up until now? All right, I got Sanjit says great, perfect. Pyle says such a nice experience, great to hear that. So I have got just 2 responses that really tells me that no one. All right, I got one more from Kamala, nice. All right, so yes, I am trying to help you in the best possible way. All right, Habibi, actually it's Habiba. Habibi is kind of very common, you know, guys. Yeah, Habibi, kind of. It's a Habiba Sheikh. All right, great. Shweta, all right. Okay, all righty. It's very common that we have this thing on our mind, Habibi. All righty. Okay, so let's get started with today's session. And today, what we're gonna talk is way more important. Of course, everything is important, but today's thing, which we're gonna discuss, is absolutely gold. Why? Because I told you there are basically 6 pillars of English fluency, which we are trying to achieve. We all are going after English fluency. We want to get there. But if you really think about it, before grammar, before pronunciation, I really appreciate each one of you for your nice comments in the chat. That really makes me feel good. Thank you. All right, so guys, now let's stay focused on today's session. So I'm telling you, of course, we need pronunciation, we need grammar, we need all those pillars. But if you really think about which pillar should be the number 1 in our list, we would say it's vocabulary. And that's what we're gonna discuss today. Once again, I will be walking you through a step-by-step process, and you'll get to see how you can just master words and make them active. because our goal is not just to learn the words and forget them. Our goal is to learn the words and use them in real situations. So that's what we're gonna learn today. So now I'm gonna take you to my slide, then we'll discuss exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so this is day 3, and I really wanna appreciate and I want you to understand you guys are such serious individuals because you have committed, and this is something which you should be proud of, because many people, they start and they do not even dare to start something, but you are here on day 3. That shows you really care your progress, and you think English is the medium, English is the tool that can help you get what you want in your life. So I want you to just understand this. This is a great achievement, and we should be celebrating all these kind of achievements, because all these little teeny tiny small stuff does make differences. All right, so today we will be talking about building your vocabulary, but let me talk about the assignment. Of course, I'm giving you a mini assignment that will take almost like, at the max, it would take 5 minutes. So if you're not even wasting 5 minutes of time of yours to do that mini assignment, that's a serious concern. Last assignment was you had to write your implementation intention. So you have to write everything in a very specific way. What are you gonna do? What time? What place? Everything. And once you write that, now you are not dependent on any kind of motivation, external motivation, because you have kind of set a very specific timeline for your practice. And I do get, sometimes you might come across some of the situations where you cannot follow your implementation intention. I get that. We all have lives. Sometimes life does happen, but you just need to learn this technique. You fall from a horse, you should just come back and go back to the horse. So just have that kind of mentality. If you miss someday, that's okay. Just try to come back on the track the other day. So whatever I'm giving you as an assignment, make it a note. Please do that. That will make you what you want to be. All right, so let's talk about building your vocabulary. Let's very quickly discuss what we're gonna discuss today. We'll talk about what types of vocabulary are there, how to grow your active vocabulary, that is very important, which I was talking about, because we have to learn the words and have to make them active. Because if we know the words and we do not use them, they really have some kind of disturbance. What's going on? An issue? Okay, 1 second, guys. Plug here, please. No, it does not have. 1 second, guys. I'm having a bit of an issue here. One second, problem happens. Tech issue. All right. Hopefully this will work in this time.
Yeah.
Alrighty. All right, so I guess take your phone out, please. Okay, so we'll talk about how we can grow our active vocabulary. Then I'll be teaching you a very specific method which I have used to grow my active vocabulary. This is a 5-step method to learn vocabulary. Then at the end, we'll talk about some other vocabulary techniques. So this is what we're gonna cover today. All right. So let's start with types of vocabulary. So basically, we have 4 types of vocabulary. Number 1 is active vocabulary. And when I say active, I'm talking about words that we know and we use. So just think of all those words which you know and you also use them in your speech. Then it comes passive vocabulary. These are the words we know, but we rarely use them. That means when we have to use these kind of words, we have to stop in the middle of the conversation. We have to remember them. Sometimes we do remember, and sometimes we do not get that word. So they are passive vocabulary. Next, we have essential, unfamiliar. And these are the words that we do not know, but we do need them. And if you really want to know what are the words which are essential, unfamiliar, you can think of all the words which you use in your own language, but you do not know how to say them in English. So if you come across any word which you know how you can say them in your own language, in your native language, but you do not know how to say them in English, they are essential, unfamiliar. And the last one is non-essential, unfamiliar. And these are the words we do not know, and we really do not need them. Because many times we try to learn some of the words which we use once in a blue. So we are not going to target those kind of words which are not very important to us. We will be focusing on those words which we need and they are essential for us. In upcoming slides, I will be guiding how you can decide which are the words that are important to you. But remember, we are not going to focus on non-essential, unfamiliar. Now, here is how it looks like. We have words we know and we use them. I told you these are the active vocabulary. Then we have the words we know but rarely use. And these are the passive vocabulary. Let me get some people in. They're waiting in the waiting room. So here I'm talking about those words which we know, but we do not use them in our speech. And if you really think, these are the words which create a lot of problem for us. The reason you get stuck while talking, it is because of these kind of words, passive vocabulary. So we'll just try to bring this golden color circle into green color. So what we'll be doing is we'll try to expand this green circle and we'll try to just overlap or cover this golden circle. We'll be talking about the techniques. Then we have words we do not know, but we do need them. And we do have to address these kind of words as well, because we do not know at this moment, but we do need them to communicate. So this pink circle are those words which we do not know, but we do have to bring them back into our active vocabulary. Then we have words we do not know and we do not need them. So we are not going to tackle them. We are not going to address them. They are not important. So we are not going to run after them. So our idea and our intention is to expand this green color circle and cover all the words which we know, but we do not use them. And we have to also expand it to that point where it covers the pink circle as well. And we will get to know those words which we do not know, but we have to learn them so we could really be more expressive. All right, so now what I'm going to tell you is the reason we do not use the words. I'm talking about passive vocabulary, because we know the words, but what's the reason that we do not have this capability to use those words? So for that, I'm going to tell you 3 reasons. Reason 1 is they are not accessible to you. Number 1 reason, very obvious, because you just try to access them. Let's say you have a word in your mind and you want to use them, but you are not reaching out to that word. You're not getting that word exactly. So this is the obvious reason, reason number 1. The second reason is you're not confident about the pronunciation. And this happens to a lot of people. Let's say I know a word, I know the meaning, but just because I'm not sure about the pronunciation of that word, I feel some kind of hesitant before using that word. So pronunciation plays a very important role here. If you're learning a word, you have to also focus on pronunciation, how to pronounce that word in a very clear and precise way. So this is the another reason we do not use the word we know. The third reason is you're not confident about how to use them. And sometimes, let's say you can access them, you know, this is the word, and you're even sure about the pronunciation, you know how to pronounce them, but you have very shallow understanding how to use them in a sentence. That means you're not sure, should I put before the verb or after the verb, or is it an adverb or a noun? You might think in these different ways. So that is the another reason that you do not use the word which you know. And that's the reason that becomes a passive vocabulary. Alrighty, so these are the reasons. Now we understand. And when I talk about the reasons, and when I talk about the negativity, it's because I want you to just bring all these things in front of your mind. Because my friends, self-awareness is key. Once you are familiar with this, now you know exactly these are the problems and I need to solve these problems. Sometimes we are not aware of the problems. And if you're not aware of the problems, you're not going to solve a problem. So it is step number one to get to know what the problem is. So I just walked you through 3 regions. We do not use the words we know. Now, your mission is to grow your active vocabulary. That is your mission. Because if you look at someone who is speaking very easily, whatever he wants to say, everything is just coming out of his mouth, just like water. It's because he has a good number of active vocabulary. And we are going to do the same. And now I'm going to teach you my favorite 5-step method to learn and to grow your active vocabulary. So pay close attention. This is going to help you tremendously. Okay. So in this 5-step method, step number 1, collect your word list. Of course, I'm going to tell you all the steps right now. And right after it, I will be guiding you how you can implement all these steps. So I'm not just going to teach you, do this, do this. I'll tell you, do this, do this. And then I'm going to tell you how to do this. Because many times we get to know, do this, but we are not sure how to do that. But I'm not going to leave you in that kind of situation. I'll tell you, do this. And I'm also going to teach you how to do this. So just try to understand the steps right now. Then we will get to how we can do all of these steps. So step 1, collect your word list. Step 2, build pronunciation mastery. And this is something which we will be discussing tomorrow, what building pronunciation mastery is. But if you attended my masterclass, I talked about this technique, which is the technique which has helped me to reduce my regional accent, improve my grammar, improve my vocabulary. So this is something which is going to help you big time. So that is going to be a step number 2. A step 3 is find existing examples. So when you're learning a word, when you're trying to grow your active vocabulary, the 3rd step is find existing examples. The 4th step is create your own examples. Once you get the existing examples, you can use various resources. You can use Google, you can use ChatGPT, you can use various dictionaries like Merriam-Webster, dictionary.com. There's a ton of good resources out there you can use to see the existing examples. Once you get those examples, now is the time for you to create your own examples. And the last step in this method is use the word intentionally. Because many times we learn the word and we think, I'll be using this word when I'll get in a situation. And when you get in this situation, your mind goes blank. You do not get to have that word. So we are not going to focus on those kind of situations. We will create the situation and we will practice intentionally. All right, so these are the steps in this method. Now, I'm going to walk you through each step, how you can implement them, how you can really use them. All right. Apology for my throat. I have some sore throat, so you might get some croaky kind of voice. Anyway, so let's talk about, I talked about how you can collect the words. Remember, step number 1 is collect your word list. So here are some of the ways which will help you collect words. Number 1, when you forget a word and remember it or find it later. So let's say you're speaking and you forget a word. That means at the time of conversation, you try to remember them, but you do not get them. And after the conversation, you remember the word. Oh, this is the word. That means that is the word which you know, but you could not use that when you wanted to use. So you have to select that word and put it in your list. That is one way. Another way is when you hear other people using it. So many times when we are talking to someone and when we are listening, we tend to listen to some of the words which they are using frequently, and we do not know those words. And even if we know them, we really do not use them. So when you're trying to listen very carefully, you can get those kind of words which others are using, and maybe you know them, but you could not use when you speak. So you have to put those words in your list as well. And the third way is when you're speaking your first language. So let's say you're talking in your own language and you just say something and think how I can say the same in English. If you do not know how you can say the same in English, that word should go in your list. So if you really go through these 3 ways, you can collect the list that really matters to you in a way that is important to you, which you have to learn. You'll not be collecting random words which may not be useful to you. So just think of all these 3 ways. Now, I'm going to tell you step by step. Step 1, that was collect your word list. And when you are collecting your words and creating your list, here is the thing. I'll be teaching you all these 5 steps in detail now. But when you're on step 1 and you're creating your list, you should not make your list super big. You have to make a short list. And once the list is done, you'll have to move on to the next step. It's not like you just keep creating a list and you create or you collect like 1,000 words. And then when you look at them, that will look like a Mount Everest. We don't want that kind of situation. That will be discouraging. That will discourage us. We want to learn one step at a time. Remember the Kaizen way and 80-20 rule. So I'm just going to guide you how you can collect your word list. Of course, I gave you some ways earlier that could help you, but I'm going to guide you even further. So you have to look for those words which you know, but you do not use enough. Enough means sometimes you might get those words and you use them, but you do not use them very often. If you find any word which comes under this category, that will go into your list. Another word or another way is words you use in your native language, but you do not know them in English. The same thing which I told you, if you use something in your own language and you're not sure how to say them in English, that word will also go into your list. So this is how you are going to collect your word list. And select words from the list to practice and integrate into your speech. So let's say you collected 10 words. Now you have a list of 10 words. Now you have to stop collecting. Now your step 1 is done. Now you will move on to implementation, how you can implement them, how you can incorporate them in your speech. So now a step 2 comes in. A step 2 is build pronunciation mastery. And pronunciation mastery, I told you, I walked you through all the steps, and I will be talking in detail tomorrow, where I'll be teaching you about pronunciation. But right now, let's say you have a word, precise. All right. So I'm just giving you an example. Maybe you know this word, or maybe you do not. But let's say you collected a word called precise. Now you have to master this word, and you have to bring this word into your active vocabulary. So the number one thing which you have to do is, you have written down that word in your list, in your notebook. Now you have to find out their transcription. And when I say transcription, it could be in IPA, and I will not be encouraging you to learn or go in IPA right now, because it may confuse you. IPA is like International Phonetic Alphabet. That symbol recognizes each and every sound of English. But I'll be giving you some other way, because I want you to just have a smoother experience. I do not want you to get confused yourself. So what you need to do is, let's say you wanted to learn precise. You can simply go on Google, and you have to learn the correct pronunciation before you drill it. So go on Google and type how to pronounce X, simply the word. So if you want to learn the pronunciation of precise, you'll be Googling how to pronounce precise and such. Now, once you do this, you'll be getting a simple transcription, and transcription would be looking like this. You can look in this box, and in this box, I believe you can see this size. It is written as we are speaking. It is not the correct spelling, but it looks exactly like we are speaking. So that transcription would really help you to understand how it should be pronounced. We have other resources as well. You can use dictionary.com. You can get IPA transcription there, or even you can get this kind of normal transcription, which helps us understanding the pronunciation of these words. And even you can use ChatGPT, right? Everyone talks about ChatGPT these days. So of course we can use ChatGPT for this as well. Just go to ChatGPT and learn how to pronounce this word. When you're learning the pronunciation of any word, I would like you to pay close attention on two things. Number one, the number of syllables. The number of syllables and the primary stress. Syllable simply means in that word, how many vowel sounds are there? You have to understand the number of syllables, and you have to also understand the primary stress. Which syllable, which part of the word gets the primary stress? For example, in this word, you can see it says precise. So if you look at it, you'll see size is in bold letter. That means that is the primary stress. And stress is very important. We'll be talking a bit about stress in tomorrow's session, because we are talking about pronunciation tomorrow. But I told you, if you're not sure about pronunciation, even if you know the words, you will not be using them. So it's very important for you to learn the correct pronunciation. So whenever you're learning pronunciation, you have to pay close attention on these two things: the number of syllables and which syllable gets the primary stress. For example, here, the second syllable, size, is the primary stress. So when I'm saying precise, size will be longer and higher in page. So I do not want to confuse you using all this page intonation and all. We'll talk about all these stuff on day 5. But right now, this is very important. Just giving you a simple analogy so you could understand. We have rubber band, right? We have rubber band. So when you have the primary stress, just imagine that you're stretching a rubber band. So make it longer. Listen to me. If I just make it more dramatic, like I exaggerate it, it sounds like this: precise. You heard that? It's very overly dramatic, but this is how we have to pay close attention. If you stress the wrong syllable, you are not going to sound clear. And these are some small points which make us unclear. We do not understand why people are not understanding, because we do not pay attention on these things. So you have to always take care of these 2 points. Right now, precise, 2 syllables. The primary stress is on the second syllable, precise, precise. So this is how you're gonna learn the correct pronunciation. Let me recall very quickly. You'll take your word, you'll go on Google or dictionary.com or ChatGPT and write how to pronounce your word. And then you'll simply get the transcription. You'll also get some kind of divider, some point or something, which will tell you how many syllables are there. And basically, sometimes you'll get how we can get the primary stress. Once you're clear about it, we will move on to the next step. And now, here is the important part. I told you we have to have a habit, because language is a set of habits. And if you want to create habit, it is the repetition that will create the habit. So now, once you know exactly how to pronounce that word, now you're gonna drill that word 30 times. I know it sounds a lot if you go through each word, but trust me, if you want to make them your active words, you have to go through this process. So when you're drilling them, when you're just repeating them very carefully, pay close attention. It's not like just repeating and repeating. You have to repeat in a correct way. So what I do personally, I have to repeat 30 times. So I divide them in 3 sections. In section 1, I will go very carefully 10 times, then 10 times, then 10 times. Now we have drilled that word 30 times. Another thing which I want you to understand is, when you're repeating a word, you can internalize that word by adding some kind of intensity, some kind of emotion. Because we humans learn the best when we attach something to our emotion. So if you're learning a new word, just try to do some kind of physical activity. You can just punch, right? Of course, punch in the air, do not punch someone, all right? You can even run while repeating the word. Because if you're doing all these physical activities, your mind is going to remember that for a longer period of time. And I'm not just telling you this. There's a ton of research as well, which show that if you are very much physically active, you are more likely to retain the knowledge which you're gaining. So this is something which I wanted to let you know, that if you attach some kind of physical activity to that drilling exercise which you're repeating, you are more likely to remember them. All right, so now we have completed step 1. We collected our words. Step 2, we learned the correct pronunciation and we repeated 30 times. Now the third step is to find existing example. And you have to find 2 to 3 examples, and you can easily find on the internet. You just copy them and put into Google, into ChatGPT, and ask them to give some example sentences. They will give you some example sentences. You can look at them. One of the best resources I would say we have is Youglish.com. Youglish.com is like YouTube. You just put your word and you'll find some speakers using that word in a sentence. So it's not like you're getting a written sentence, you're hearing someone using in a context. And I believe most of us learn best by visual representation. So you can simply, for example, our word is precise, all right? So we go to Youglish.com and we put in the search bar, and we'll get a lot of video clips where that word is being used, precise. So now we can exactly see how they are using the word. That is very important. Just learning the word is not enough. We have to have the understanding how we are going to use them. So that is step number 3. I have just pasted a screenshot of a Google here. You can see how do you use precise in a sentence. So I have just asked Google, how do you pronounce or how do you use precise in a sentence? And you can see the example here. The bunker's precise location is closely guarded secret. So this is how you can get examples on the internet. Now we're going to step number 4. And step number 4 is very important. And that is create your own examples. And I want you to think of 3 sentences, not more, not less. You have to create your own examples. They should be 3. That is a very specific number. Once again, I'm repeating, not more than 3, not less than 3. And another important point, this time you're not going to write down on your notebook. That means when you're creating your word list, you are not writing down on your notebook, you're repeating in your mind. Remember this. This is an important point which I wanted to emphasize. When you're creating your own example, you are not going to write down. You will be repeating in your mind because they should be in your mind, not on your notebook. So this is step number 4. And step number 5 is you have to use that word intentionally. And when I say intentionally, because you can understand, sometimes you learn a word and for almost 1 month, you never get a situation where you can use that word exactly. And in that situation, what happens? You forget the word which you learn. So what you need to do is, of course, you have to make it look like it's spontaneous, but you have to plan your situation. So if you're learning the word precise, you have to really make some kind of plan when you're going to use this word in your communication, in your conversation. And when you're using intentionally, your mind is getting registered that you know this word and you're using in your communication. So that is very important. You have to be deliberate about it. You have to use it knowingly, intentionally. All right, my friend. So these are the 5 steps. And I walked you through all of these steps one by one, how you can use them. And remember, all these steps are going to make some changes inside of your mind. By following all of these steps, you'll be creating different connections in your memory that will help you retrieve the word more easily when you need it. So all these steps are designed for a reason. Because if you just go step by step, you are just internalizing all these words deep inside of your mind. And when it goes deep inside of your mind, they are easily accessible. If you drive a car, you must remember when you're learning how to drive a car in your initial stage, you look at all the gadgets available in the car and then you use them. If you're going to use your gear, you look at your gear. This is accelerator. This is the brake. This is the clutch. You really focus on one thing at one time. But now, since you have been driving for a long time, now what do? You just go, enter your car, and you just think about your destination, where you have to go. You do not think about anything. You do not think that, oh, this is the steering, this is the gear, this is the clutch. You do not think about anything. Why? Because all these things have gone deep inside of your mind. And if you look at a master, that someone is very skilled at something, it's because that person has really taken that specific skill and put deep inside of their mind. So when you go through all these 5 steps, you are doing exactly the same. Let me drink some water, then we'll get to some additional techniques. Okay, so up until this point, whatever I was teaching you about vocabulary, that is very concrete. And I've been using this. And if you think it might look like a big or huge process, my friend, there is no shortcut to success. Remember that. I do understand these days on the internet, you might get this kind of false promises. Oh, get fluent in 1 hour or anything like that. But remember, there is no shortcut to success. We have to put the work. All right, so that was the specific technique which I wanted to teach you, but I always try to provide as many options as possible so we could really choose and use which looks better to us. So now I'm going to give you some additional vocabulary methods. So let's talk about them. Number 1 is spaced repetition. And you must have experienced this, that you just learn something and you forget them. And this is normal. This is natural. It happens to everyone. It is just not you who has this specific issue. The research shows there is a forgetting curve. We do forget this stuff. For that reason, this specific technique is very useful. You have to recall the word at increasing time intervals. So the idea behind this technique is we have to just knock our mind with that specific word on a very regular interval. So for example, you learn a word and then you just somehow look at that word after 1 hour. Then you look at the same word after 1 day, then after a week, then after a month. So what you're doing is you're doing a spaced repetition. You're giving some space and you're just repeating. Then you're giving a space again, then you're repeating. And this is how you can internalize that word for life. So this is the another technique which I wanted to give you. Another one which is very, very helpful, you can find a rhyme. A rhyme is like the word which sounds like the word we know or you know. So for example, we have a word precise and we have another word which is price. So it's kind of easy for us today. If you know a word, just let's say you know precise. Now you're gonna learn all those words which rhyme with this word. So you can simply go on Google and use ChatGPT. ChatGPT is great. Just go on that and write, let me know all the rhyming words with precise, and ChatGPT will do the rest. It's gonna give you a list which rhyme with precise. So since all those words sound very much close to this, maybe it would be easier for you to remember them. Precise, price. It looks like brother, right? In Indian culture, we have this tendency to keep the name of our brothers like it rhymes with one another, like Bablu Dablu, right? You got it. Alrighty, another way is create new words. So if you know a word, there are some other words which are very much related to that word. So for example, here we have word precise, and we could just also get the word precision. So precise and precision, they are connected to each other. So if we master precise, we also master the precision. So it's like killing two birds with one stone, right? Buy one, get one free. So you have to really focus on this technique. Learn the word and try to look all the words which are connected to this word. And you can always use Google and ChatGPT. Another technique, look for synonyms. So of course, this is something which I wanted to make you available, but you have to be very clear about it. Let's say you're trying to learn precise. And if you feel that precise is deeply integrated inside of my mind, then only look for synonyms. Otherwise, you're going to confuse yourself. So if you know that precise, I have mastered it completely, I get it, then you can simply look for the synonyms. So synonyms is like precise. The synonym could be accurate. So precise and accurate, they mean almost the same or pretty much the same. So now you know precise and accurate. So now you just got one more word because of your first word, precise. But remember, you're only going to learn accurate once you're very much sure that you know the precise very well. Otherwise, you'll just learn a lot of words, and then once again, they will go into your passive vocabulary, and that will create frustration. Because that's frustrating, because when we do not get to use the words we know, that creates frustration. All right? So be careful about it. And I also hate the trend that you might have come across some videos on Reels and Shorts. Here is the basic English. Here is the advanced English. Some other ways to say this. I mean, if you're not good at basic, I mean, if you do not know one thing, you should not be overwhelming yourself. That is the basic idea. So just one thing, then once you're done with that, then move on to the next. The last one is look for antonyms. Antonyms is like the opposite of that word. So our word is precise. The opposite would be imprecise or inaccurate. So now you can just use the opposite of precise is imprecise. So you have both options. If you want to say something in negative, you can use that too. So basically, you're saying precise, that something is very, very to the point. Precise means to the point, accurate. And imprecise means it is not to the point. It is just some kind of random. You're not exactly telling the thing, you're just beating around the bush. So you get these techniques. Now is the time for us to put everything into practice. Because I'm telling you, every single day, knowledge or education is like pent. It is not gonna do any good until it is applied. So if you're not applying these things, they are not gonna do any good for you. So make sure you're just learning all these methods and techniques and you're putting it into practice. That is the time you will get the real benefit out of it. Alrighty, so now we have finally come to an end of our day 3 session. And now I would be coming to you guys for Q&A short session because we have no Q&A session officially up until today. And from tomorrow, we are going to talk a lot about pronunciation. And on day 5, I will be addressing something which is very important, especially for we Indians, because in India, we have different languages. Each language has its own music. And when we speak English, sometimes we mix the music of our own language into English. That's the reason it sounds like khichdi. I don't know you're aware of this word or not. Khichdi is like the mix up of something. So we'll be talking how you can really use your voice in a very effective way and how you can use your intonation. And basically we'll be talking about how you can use your instrument, because I always look at our voice is like an instrument, like the piano, the guitar. And it's unfortunate that we people learn how to play the guitar, we learn how to play the piano, but we have the most expensive instrument that is free of cost. That's the reason maybe we do not pay attention on that. Our voice is the most expensive instrument we have, and we never learn to play that. So on day 5, I will be teaching you how you can play the most expensive instrument you can ever get. That's your voice. Alrighty, my friend. So now I'm just opening a short session for your question. If anyone has any question from any past sessions, feel free to ask. You can unmute yourself, I guess. If you can't, raise your hand. I'll allow you to unmute yourself. You can ask your question. And then I'll give you the assignment, mini assignment. And then I will move into a conversation group for today. Because many people, when I am just telling that now we are going to get into conversation group, people are leaving and they are not getting the assignment. So now if anyone has any question, I'm all ears. Please come forward and ask your question. Anyone has any question? All right, someone. All right, is unable to unmute themselves. Let me allow them. All right, now you guys can unmute yourself and ask your question. All right, I have got one hand raised. Let me see. All right, sure. Sanjit, please unmute yourself and shoot your question.
Yeah, good
Yeah, good
evening,
evening,
Yeah, good evening.
Okay, so am I audible?
Yes, you're totally audible to us.
Okay. So, first of all, I would like to thank you for your wonderful teaching,
Appreciate that.
and also I get to learn a lot of things from this session. So, one thing I would like to know, as you are emphasizing on accent, or how to develop the accent. So is it really important to have the accent of American accent or British accent or something like this? Is
All
it
right, I got your
really
question.
important?
All right, so basically, you're asking, is it important to have any specific accent? Since I have been emphasizing, so let me tell you guys, I have not been emphasizing on accent. I have been emphasizing on clear accent or clear pronunciation. So, of course, it is not that we have to have some specific accents like American accent, British accent, Canadian accent. That is not important. And I totally understand this is not required for most of us. Because if we have to have a communication for our own purpose, of course, our clear English will do the job. But if you have your own desire, that means some people love the sound of English. And for that reason, of course, they can work on their accent and they can make it better. So I would say it's totally optional. It is not mandatory. But what mandatory is, that is to have a clear English. And if you want to have a clear English, you will have to have a standard accent, because we all have accent. We come from different languages and we kind of have some specific music of that language into our English. So if we let those stuff or those elements impact our English, that will be making us unclear to others. So maybe to our Indians, when we are talking, we can be understood. But this creates a gigantic, huge problem when we are speaking to people from different country, even if they are from non-native English speaking country, because they will be just hearing a different kind of music and they will be struggling to understand us. So if I just give you a short answer to your question, no, my friends, this is not mandatory. This is not compulsory to have American accent, those kind of accents, but we have to have a clear accent, or I would say a standard accent. I hope I answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Alrighty, my friends, I'd love to hear your opinions and your questions. So please, it's like a family. We have spent like 3 days together. So we humans, of course, create connection very quickly when we are spending some time together. So I believe this is like a family. Of course, if you have any question, you can ask. And if you want to share something, your opinion or anything, I'd be glad to hear your voice. All right. Anyone else? Any question? Everything is quiet. All right, no question, I guess.
Hello.
Yeah, hey Anushka.
Hello.
Yes, I
Hi.
can.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah.
Actually, yesterday is my first day. Yesterday
Mhm.
was my first day, and I want to talking about sir, your pronunciation.
Please.
Actually, since I joined you, I couldn't understand even a single word, but I try again and again, and after I think 30 minutes, I
Mm-hmm.
get something, and I keep listening you,
Mm-hmm.
and now I can understand little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I want to say, sir, you are speaking like a native.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
All
uh,
right.
how did you learn this type of pronunciation? I want to uh,
You want to
know
know
that,
that,
sir.
right?
Yeah,
Okay, perfect. So,
actually
Anushka,
it's
yeah.
really very impressive for me,
Mm-hmm.
and also I want to speak like this type, but
Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm,
It's
till
totally possible.
now, it's really hard to understand
Okay.
for me.
All right.
So this
Okay.
is my first question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anything else you want to ask, or you're done?
Yes. Yes. Yes, sir. I have another question.
Okay,
So
sure.
how much money I have to pay for this class?
Mm-hmm. Okay, question two. All right. You're done, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So before I come to Anushka's question, let me tell you guys, this is something which I really wanted to make you understand as well, because it's possible if you're listening to me or some speakers for the first time, you really struggle to understand. And the reason is
Yes,
obvious.
sir.
Your ear is not trained to listen those kind of accent, or maybe you're listening to some different kind of talking style. So this is totally normal. And if you come across that kind of situation, I want you to just be patient. And like Anushka did exactly that. I really appreciate that. She was not getting anything, but it's still, she tried to continue, and now she's getting a bit more, and I'm pretty sure if she spends some more time, this will keep moving on and on and on. Now to her question. Question one: how did I get this pronunciation, this accent?
Yes, sir.
Like I told you in the
This is
beginning,
naturally, or did you make, sir?
no, it's not
This is
natural.
natural, or
And I
did you
have
make this?
never I have never been to any native speaking, English speaking country, so it's not natural, of course. So let me
Okay.
tell you. Um, and I had a talk with Sanjit last time in the breakout room, and he was also curious to know whether I have done my schooling with CBSE or some Hindi medium kind of. So this is the question I often get when I talk to someone. So I am just wondering, you might be curious to know about this as well. So I did my schooling from, I would say, I did not go for nursery and those lower classes. So I started studying from class one, and till class eight, I did my schooling through CBSE. And then I just got into Bihar board. And let me tell you, I come from Bihar. Anyone is unmuted. Sanjit, you, my friend. Please mute yourself. Sanjit, my friend, can you hear me? Can you please mute yourself? All right, he did. So after class 8, I got into Bihar board, and then of course it was in Hindi. That was a bit challenging to me, but I just tried to comprehend, and then I wrote all my papers in English because that was my expertise. So that's how I just started my career. And later on in 2017, I think GeoSIM was launched in 2016. So you guys are aware, in the initial stage, you was just providing us free data. That means we could just watch whatever we watch. So then I got curious to learn languages. At that point of time, I had one teacher. I was in Patna, the capital of India at that moment, and I was taking his offline classes. His pronunciation was okay. And when I got to listen to him, that pronunciation really inspired me. And I wanted to improve my pronunciation. Then I went to YouTube and I just started browsing. And then I got to know about a trainer called A.J. Hall. He's basically from America. And I really liked the way he talks, everything. And then I got enrolled in his courses. He has different courses, VIP. He has a program membership, VIP, and all those other courses. And then I also got enrolled in different courses where I got some specific training on my accent. Like I got enrolled in Rachel's English Academy. I think you might be familiar with her. She is a very great accent trainer from America. Rachel's English Academy. You can just browse her on YouTube as well. So I kind of invested in myself and I got the specific training and I really worked on it. I did some kind of exercises, which some of the exercises I'll be teaching you guys tomorrow in pronunciation class. So that is how I kind of get this accent. And it's an ongoing process. Of course, I kind of spend some of the time of mine on daily basis to keep it polished. So that is how I got the accent. I think I answered your question number one. Or you want to know anything else? Anushka, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So guys,
Got
I
it.
gave you
Yeah.
the whole story because so you could really get to know from the very beginning how I really transform my speaking journey. So I think it could be helpful to many of you. That's the reason I just did not answer the question, but I also walked you through all the experiences of mine. The second question of her is, how can she get enrolled in my program? So I have a program that is 90-day English Mastery Blueprint, where I have really compiled all my learning experience. I'm talking about pronunciation, accent, fluency, vocabulary, and I have put everything in there. This is a very intensive program that focuses on every aspect of learning, every aspect of English. And in 90 days, you'll be getting the core training, but I believe just learning is not enough. You'll also be getting implementation workshop. So whatever you're learning, you're also going to implement. Because I've been telling you guys that knowledge is like a paint. If you're not going to apply it, you're not going to get anything out of it. So I'll make sure that, and at the same time, we have conversation workshop. Like we have a glance of that in this conversation group. I'm just sending you in a breakout room, but in that program, everything is structured. Everything is designed in a way that you could come in a very safe environment and you can speak. So you're learning at the same time and you're also using them. So this is how I explain about the program. And if I talk about the pricing, this is not an expensive course. I'm telling you, the value wise, you'll be getting a lot. And it might sound like sales pitch, but my friend, it is not that. I believe I got coached from Tony Robbins. He's a great coach. I believe most of you know them. He has a partner, Dean Graziosi. They believe sale is like a service. So if you are helping someone by just taking some fair amount, it is not like you're just selling them, you're serving them. So if I talk about the price would be 3,997 for our complete 90-day program, where you'll be getting all the support. And apart from that, I am giving a very special bonus that is 3-day public speaking workshop. And in that workshop, we will be discussing a lot of practical tools that will help you express yourself publicly when it comes to facing the camera or speaking on a stage. And even if you have to give some kind of presentation and you have to use your voice. So we'll be discussing all of those stuff. So basically the bottom line is the price would be 3,997. Usually I sell the selling price is 4,997. But yes, these days I am selling, not these days, these are my initial stages. I was teaching offline, now I'm just switching to online. So right now my price is 3,997. You got the answer, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, perfect. Okay, Sanjeev.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, may I?
Yes, sure, sure, sure.
Actually, I'm a housemaker, and I'm come from
Mm-hmm.
uh, Hindi medium.
I understand.
So I doubt that I can speak in future or not. Sorry for my question, sir, but
No, no problem. Of course, you can just raise your concern. I do understand that where you're coming from. I can totally get that. Please.
because
Yeah.
I have been learning like around 5 months, but I'm that I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
When I start, I'm still here.
Okay. So, Anushka, I just want you to know you are not
Yes,
alone
sir.
who feels this way. And if maybe you're okay, yes, you're from class 2. So actually I always talk about mindset, and this is something which is very important because we have gone through a lot of traumas related to English, and all those bad experiences have somehow put this kind of limiting beliefs inside of us that we are not gonna get English, or maybe we will not get as others are getting. So I want you to know that this is just a limiting belief, and I can just observe your speaking is good, you're expressing whatever you want to say. So I'm fully confident you have everything you need to communicate, and of course you can take it to the next level. I can understand it's coming from that kind of limiting belief and stuff, and it is totally normal. I see this kind of stuff a lot, and there was a point of time I had this kind of beliefs as well. So I just want you to understand this is normal and you can do it. Still, any
Thanks
question?
for believing me, sir.
All right,
Thank
sure,
you so much,
sure.
sir, believing
All
me.
right, really appreciate your question and your dare. Thank you. All right, so Sanjeet has raised his hand once again. So yeah, you have any question?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to know that is, as I have, I was listening to both of you, and that lady asked that, you have got an impressive accent, okay, and that also I do believe that you have got an impressive accent.
All right.
But but if I say something in Indian context, that she also had some problem understanding you, that she couldn't understand what you were speaking. But if I say in Indian context that language is used to express, not to impress, okay?
Absolutely.
So if we fail that very thing to express, so I think the importance of language is lost there. So suppose I'm delivering my speech to a 500 students, as I'm a teacher, and I'm delivering a speech to 500 students. Maybe out of 500 students, maybe only 50 students might know the accent that I would be using, maybe American accent or British accent. But the other 450 students, they'll be losing my I can say learning, okay, my teaching.
I see.
So then what is the use of having this accent only to impress, not to express? So what is your view on this?
All right, sure. Good question, I would say. Okay, so see, actually, of course, it seems impressive to her, but I just want to make one thing crystal clear. I told you in the very beginning, if you're learning your accent and if your motto or if your purpose is to impress someone, that is a wrong purpose. So if you're asking this question, that let's say if you're using this specific accent and you're addressing 500 children and only 50 out of 500 get what you're trying to say, what's the use of that accent? So I totally understand that if you have only those targeted audience, that means you're only going to talk to those people who do not have that level of understanding. I would say, of course, you have to be really realistic. But I am telling you, the English language is a tool that is going to connect with you with entire world. And of course, she was having some issues understanding, but it's not because she's not getting the accent totally. I can understand sometimes we listen to some native speakers and they seem to be speaking some another language, not English. It does appear like that. But if she really gets in the context and if she really spends some time, she'll be getting exactly what I'm trying to convey. So what I would say is, of course, it's not about you're trying to impress someone with your accent, and I'm telling you that should not be your goal. But if you're having a neutral accent, that means you do not see any impact of your regional language music on your English. If you're clear, then you are good to go. But if you want to take it to the next level, of course, if you have this, like, of course, there are a ton of accents, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, South African, in English, Irish, those kind of. But there are two accents which are recognized all over the world, American and British. So on one hand, if you have your target audience, just the children, those kind of people, maybe this could be a problematic. I totally give you that. But if you want to reach out to a large number of people internationally, then of course this accent would be a plus for you. So it totally depends on your target audience. Got it?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, now Jamila, she has raised her hand. Please, I'm all ears. Jamila, you're muted. Please unmute yourself. I see you're still muted. Can you unmute yourself? I think everyone can, so she can. Yes, now you're unmuted.
Sir, I was listening to the speech, the talking between you and the guy who is not, uh, he's
I'm really
just,
sorry, you're breaking up. Could you say it again, please?
I mean, I heard the speech
Uh-huh.
of the guy who is not happy with the accent, but let me tell that there is not a single word which we couldn't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And crystal clear. Your speech is crystal clear, no matter
Mm-hmm.
crystal clear. We can understand each and every word. So I don't think there is problem in it.
Okay, all right. Okay, I got it, Jamila. Any question you want to ask or just this?
Yes, you are speaking so slowly, softly that everyone can understand each and every
Mhm.
word. So there is, I must say.
Okay, all right. Okay, got it. And I really appreciate that you're getting everything what I'm saying. So see, Jamila, of course, we have to understand everyone's situation. I totally get what Sanjit was saying. It is possible that for some people it could be challenging, but Yeah, Jamila has mentioned a very good point that if you're speaking clearly, that means there is pronunciation, and there is another thing that is enunciation. So one thing you might have noticed when I'm talking to you guys, I'm just taking my time and I'm just using my speech in a slow manner. So I was talking about public speaking workshop. There are different vocal archetypes. So we talk differently with different people. I'm sure when you're talking to your father, you talk differently. When you're talking to a police officer, you talk differently. When you're talking to your teacher, you talk differently. When you are talking to your younger brother or elder sister, you sound like you're a boss, right? Hey, do this, right? So I'm telling you, I'm using my speech in a very careful way. So when we teach, we have to be very careful about that. And I see, but I do not believe that this is going to be problematic. If you have accent and if you are enunciating, that means you're just paying close attention on your clarity. Sometimes we speak with a lot of connected speech. So when we listen to some native speakers, they speak with a lot of linking. So that becomes problematic. So for teachers, that is the reason you might have experienced. Even Americans, when they are teaching on YouTube, you can understand them. But when they talk to each other, when two Americans are talking to each other, everything is just becoming blurry. So I see this is a valid point as well. If you have an accent and if you enunciate, you'll be clear. Alrighty, my friends. So I really appreciate your opinions and questions. It seems to me that I'm not alone here. And thank you for your questions. Anyone else has any opinion, any question? We are finally a family member. So, of course, we could have different opinions and all, but we have to respect them, and it happens. That is the beauty of community. Not everyone is same. All right. Anyone has any question, or we'll just talk about? All right, Uma. Thank you. And thanks for the compliment as well. All right, so my friends, let me very quickly give you the mini assignment for today. And you must have experienced, I'm not giving you a huge assignment like you were getting in your school days. Write 5 pages of writing. Remember these question and answers, right? I'm just giving you very teeny tiny assignment. So I really expect you to complete that. That will really show me that you're serious. As I am really investing my time, you're investing your time, and time is the precious asset we have. So assignment for today would be very simple. I explained to you 5-step framework, which you're gonna apply to build your vocabulary. So I want you to just learn one new word using this framework and just put that word into the group. That's it. Very simple. So I simply want you to go through the process. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and step 5. And I want you to just put that new word which you learned using this system in the group. That would be your assignment. And now I'm gonna have the short conversation group. We have gone like 1.5 hours already, but we will have a quick conversation group so we could really get to connect with each other a bit and talk. So you know how this conversation group works. I'll be giving you a main topic, and under that main topic we have sub questions, mini questions. Why? Because they will give us trigger. They will just give us some ideas to speak. So our topic is movies and entertainment, or entertainment. Movies and entertainment. That would be the main topic. The primary thing is to focus on that topic, but I'm gonna post some sub questions which will help you in your breakout room to speak with each other. So you can see in the chat, my team has posted the questions related to that topic. We have exactly 12 members right here, right now. So I'll be creating 6 breakout rooms. There will be 2 people in each and every room. I'll be becoming partner with any one of you. Let's see who is that going to be. And then we will have quick 10 minutes of conversation. After 10 minutes, I will bring back in the main room. Then we will say tada bye-bye for today. Alrighty. Okay, so let me create the breakout room. I hope everyone is clear because we have already done it for last 2 days. So I think there should no confusion in this. So I have created 6 breakout rooms. I'm gonna create it. Let me see in chat. Okay, you guys can get the question in the chat. You can simply copy them so you could really access them while you're in breakout room. All right, here we go. 1 people left. Let me see. You'll be getting a pop-up. Please join and talk about this topic. You guys are getting the pop-up. Please join the room and talk for 10 minutes. Then I'll bring you guys back. I can see 3 people. Let's wait for everyone to come back in. All right, you four. We have four here. You enjoyed the conversation? If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up. I could get to know that you did not have tough time in the group. Who is alone in the room? My goodness. Oh, who's now is alone? Oh, okay. So bad for you.
All right.
Okay, no worries. Better time next, better luck next time. Okay, I guess everyone is back. All right. So I really hope, as usual, this conversation was interesting as well. Of course, we were talking about movies and TV shows we all love watching because they are full of stories and all, and we all love stories. All right, so everyone, I really appreciate your time that you decided to stay with me, spend this time with me. I really wanted to give you the best value out of this time of yours. And I hope that I have delivered that. Once again, all right, we exchange our ideas and views. Great to hear that. Okay, everyone. So tomorrow is going to be a very important day where we will be talking about pronunciation. And this is going to be amazing. I'm telling you guys. So mark your calendar, be here, and hopefully we will have fun. All right. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Bye-bye.